It's not that she didn't notice it. Maybe it's more accurate to say she wasn't used to it. Usually, when Bonita got jealous enough to bare her teeth, it only happened when they were alone. This stubborn girl didn't really show it in public. You could say she cared about her image. The more Kirapat observed, the more she saw that Bonita tried not to blend in with everyone else. But she wasn't so stubborn that she couldn't adapt to what was considered proper. You could say she was a stubborn kid, but a polite one. There's one more thing. Kirapat also wanted to admit to herself that she wasn't the type to provoke or try to get attention from her lover by flirting or joking around with others all day. Her everyday life was full of work and thoughts about punishing her lover in bed, always trying to keep their sex life exciting. She had many needs, and Bonita met them well. The only problem was that lately, she had been very naughty in bed. Her stubbornness could sometimes make people grit their teeth. Phuying is wearing dark clothes again. Bonita complained as soon as she saw her lover's outfit, a navy blue knit long-sleeve shirt over a black tank top, sweat-absorbing and breathable. Normally, it wouldn't be a problem, but recently her lover had been wearing too many dark clothes. She rarely wore bright colors. Bonita didn't know how to adjust her sharp voice, so it wouldn't make others feel pressured, especially since today they were meeting a real lady. Was she planning to scare her own mother too? Kirapat looked down at her own outfit, then glanced up at Bonita's small figure. Bonita was wearing a short-sleeve white shirt that showed her stomach. The shirt was so small that if she hadn't pulled it out to wear, Kirapat might have thought it was just a handkerchief. Light blue low-rise jeans and messy curly hair matched her sweet face perfectly. The only problem was the stubborn look in her eyes. It never went away. You can't wear a shirt without showing your stomach, can you?
Who says?
There's only the mark you left on my chest. I can't show the top, so I'm showing the bottom instead. Bonita didn't mean to tease, but she knew how to make her lover worry about her. Today, they had to meet someone who didn't seem sincere in love. Kirapat frowned. Bonita's stomach was now flat, showing she really took care of herself. Her belly button was deep and pretty, making her stomach more attractive than ever. She wasn't super fit with defined abs, but it was definitely eye-catching. Next time, I'll leave marks both on top and bottom so you can wear a shirt that reaches your navel, Kirapat said. Bonita wrinkled her nose at her lover, pretending as if she were speaking seriously. She felt happy because she was confident and satisfied with the outfit she was wearing. Every time she put on a crop top, those slender yet heavy hands would come and knead her body over and over. She liked seeing the handprints left behind from those actions, to the point it almost became an irresistible habit. And what she loved even more was being able to carry those marks with her when going out, letting others see that whatever those hands once touched now belongs entirely to her. Don't forbid me from doing what I like. You know that already. Is that so? Kirapat raised an eyebrow in response. I'm strong enough to carry mommy stuff all night long, you know. This time, Kirapat sighed, pretending to glare at her lover, even though she knew perfectly while the other wasn't afraid at all. Then you'd better behave, or don't come crying all night. Bonita giggled mischievously, knowing that tonight she would escape the sentence of 108,900 times, the excuse her lover usually used to drag her into bed. I'm scared.
Don't
do that to me. That tone sounds strange. Bonita smiled again. It's nothing unusual, darling. What was that? Why was Kirapat afraid of her? So, the question is, do you want me to change your clothes for you? I'll change them for you. I'll pick something for you. Let's wear matching outfits. Today we'll go out like a real couple. Kirapat could only sigh at her jealous yet adorable girlfriend. Whatever you want. No one in their group really liked cooking. If asked, they would say they could cook, but if asked whether they enjoyed it, the answer was no. Kirapat didn't like getting food or smoke on her clothes. So, whenever they cooked, the menu was always simple, avoiding anything they both disliked. But today, Instead of staying home and cuddling as usual, they had to spend the weekend in a large villa. Kirapat felt awkward when Pyram suddenly asked to be taken there.
To cook with Bonita.
Since when had those two gotten so close? How strange. You all came to visit without notice, the woman of the house said calmly. She had a serious, strong face and natural shoulder-length hair. Her appearance was simple, something you would notice if you passed by her home, but it showed that age was slowly affecting her body. Mom promised to teach Queen and Babe how to cook today, right? And since Perf was invited by Babe, she wants to cook with her too, Kita explained. That's right, the woman said. Her eyes, sharp and experienced from years of ups and downs, scanned her children and then paused on the two girls, her future daughters-in-law. But I'll teach you how to cook Queen's favorite dish. So, what would you like me to teach your future wife? The young man felt embarrassed by the sudden question. He had only come because he promised. He thought it was better to spend private time at home with his sister rather than take Pyram to walk around the city's malls, causing a scene and drawing media attention. Being on the front page before the wedding would bring more benefits than harm. It would make both big and small business circles aware of the upcoming union. The more people knew, the better. Is there any special dish you want to eat today? Pyram was smart enough to save the situation in front of Kita by asking gently. Since they had started being open and honest about their arranged marriage, the young girl felt much more comfortable around him. But there was one thing she hadn't told him. She had to have an heir. She needed to have a child with Kita to keep the family's alliance strong. Get married, have children for the family, and after that, she can go wherever she want or do whatever she like. As for her mother, she would be treated as kindly as possible. I want to see Kita before marrying him. No, you won't be allowed to meet him until after the wedding. Many people praised, admired, even envied Pyram for being born into a wealthy family. But if she could choose, she would choose not to have been born at all. Many people admired or envied Pyram for being born into a rich family. But if she had a choice, she would have preferred not to be born. It would have been better if she were married into this family. She craved freedom so much that when the chance came, she would take it, even if it meant burying her own desires. Just marrying and sleeping with Kita once or twice without contraception could make her pregnant easily. But just imagining forcing herself to do it made her throat dry and swallowing painful. Deep down, she knew she had no feelings for Kita. Unlike his younger sister, Kirapat, who had truly caught her attention. She liked how Kirapat was honest and always expressed her thoughts. It made her feel comfortable and free to be herself, even if only for a short time. She found it fun to argue or see Kirapat's annoyed expressions, as if she were being troublesome. Perf. Kita's heavy hand gently rested on her thin shoulder, bringing her back to reality. Her expression wasn't good, and he didn't understand why. I don't want anything special today. You and Babe just learn all the dishes Queen likes from Mom. Okay. Kirapat didn't say anything, but she kept watching her until she noticed the emptiness in her eyes and the constant blinking. And she was certain that Bonita, sitting right beside her, saw it too. Otherwise, she wouldn't have taken the initiative to approach and speak to Pyram with such a gentle attitude, so different from her usual tone. It was true that Bonita could be openly jealous, even daring enough to tell Pyram straight out that if she ever crossed the line, meddled in someone else's relationship, and caused trouble, then the younger girl would definitely not stand by and do nothing. But today, with everything happening and with the words that had just come out of Kita's mouth, perhaps that younger girl would begin to understand more. Maybe this was part of the reason why people loved Bonita, because it was one of her true charms. She wasn't cruel, but she also wasn't the type to be overly kind or lenient with everything. You could say that Bonita had grown up in a way that allowed her to live her life without trouble, without entanglements, and while trying not to cause herself any unnecessary complications. Babe, Kirapat called out to her lover before she walked into the kitchen with Pyram, who was following behind her mother leading the way. What is it? I want to talk to Piking for a bit. I'll be right back. Bonita smiled and replied, There's no need to follow me. The kitchen must be crowded with people. Phuying doesn't need to squeeze in with everyone else. Even if I'm being a little nicer to Pyram today, that doesn't mean I'm not jealous, right? Kirapat nodded in agreement. But when she turned to look at Pyram, the one who had caused all this, she saw that Pyram was gazing at her with those same sparkling eyes as always. She couldn't tell if Pyram was teasing Bonita to make her react, or if there was actually some real feeling there. When Bonita returned to work, she noticed something strange. An envelope about half the size of an A4 sheet neatly placed on her desk. It was clearly addressed to Bonita. What was odd was that she hadn't ordered anything to be sent to the office, and even if she had, no package or envelope would ever be placed neatly on her desk like this. She looked left and right, hoping the person who left it would appear, but no luck. On a busy Monday morning, everyone was focused on their own work. And after everything that had happened before, no one wanted to deal with her.
Right.
Bonita had become the kind of office worker that almost no one wanted to approach. Even at lunch, she usually went alone. Since she had a morning meeting, she simply put the envelope in a drawer and started preparing documents. After finishing the morning work, curiosity made her take it out to check. She knew it was unusual. She had thought of many possibilities. Even Kirapat had warned her to be more careful. Lately, Bonita wasn't allowed to go anywhere alone. Kirapat still seemed to have some secrets she hadn't shared. As for the person she was assigned to supervise, they arrived as a temporary intern. Bonita didn't know what connections that person used to get placed there without anyone questioning it. If you asked how she knew, it was because that person had been very humble. When she asked directly, they admitted it immediately. At first, she felt a little annoyed, but then she understood her lover's concern. She herself was also afraid of people whose true intentions she couldn't discern, at least until she could control the situation. Only then would she have a chance to continue exploring new things. In fact, Bonita began to recognize what she liked and didn't like. The young woman turned the brown envelope over in her hands, but found nothing unusual. No strange smells, no stains, no suspicious writing, so she felt a bit more at ease opening it. Inside were ordinary photos, depicting everyday activities. But the unusual thing was that these photos weren't taken by her or by Kirapat. Just a quick glance made it clear that they were taken from a distance. They were photos of her in casual weekend clothes, walking to a convenience store near the penthouse, with Kirapat standing beside her holding a plastic bag. Had that person really followed her even at such private times and places? The young woman's hands trembled uncontrollably. This was clear evidence that she was being watched and harassed by someone, and that person was close enough to place these photos on her desk. This had crossed the line of reason. Bonita tried her best not to show any unusual reaction. She carefully stuffed all the photos back into the envelope and threw it in the trash, as if she didn't care at all, even though inside, she was screaming in fear. Her hands shook violently, forcing her to hide them against her body. Her breathing was rapid. At this moment, all she wanted was to run to her lover immediately, because she was certain that being with Kirapat was the safest place in the world. "Babe." The young woman was startled by the voice behind her and a hand on her left shoulder. When she turned around, she breathed a sigh of relief. It was Wearable. "Yes, Puan. Tat called you again." Wearable used that phrase again, because almost every day, if their team wasn't out handling work at other locations, Department Head Tathep would call Bonita in for a meeting that lasted at least 10 minutes, almost without fail. Sometimes he called to compliment her, but mostly it was about trivial matters. "Is there something wrong?" "I'm not sure." He said he wanted to talk about the seminar. "I'm not certain if there's any other topic." Tathep's office was chilly. The only light came from the desk lamp because he had drawn the curtains, leaving the room almost in darkness. Bonita couldn't understand why her boss preferred being in the dark like that. "Hi, boss. Did you call me? Is something wrong?" I just wanted to discuss the seminar a little." He looked up from the stack of documents in his hands, his eyes gleaming behind his glasses as he studied Bonita's figure, and then smiled in a strange way. However, when his gaze landed on the faint bite mark on her pale neck, that smile immediately disappeared. Bonita was bold enough to leave visible marks on her body, as if openly signaling that she had been taken. After Sarat's rude words had spread throughout the department, she made it clear that she didn't care about the gossip. Yet, that was exactly what made a woman attractive. Trying to step into forbidden places, sneaking around, doing things that were wrong or inappropriate, that was undeniably thrilling. "Yes. I want to know if you'll be participating." Bonita raised an eyebrow, puzzled why he was asking about it again when she had already submitted the list of participants in advance so the company could reserve enough rooms. "Yes."
Good.
"Then prepare yourself. When the higher-ups attend the event, I'll introduce you to them so they remember you better. When it comes time for promotion proposals, the position won't be an issue anymore." "Isn't that too soon, sir? I don't think I'm ready for a promotion yet. There are still many people who are more capable." "I've already told you, just do what you want. Don't question it. This is for your own benefit, Bonita." He cut her off with a rough tone, exhaling hot breaths, noticing how difficult it was to talk to Bonita, so different from her previously polite demeanor. The more he observed, the clearer it became that she didn't want to be controlled, like a wild horse waiting to be released into the deep forest. And, of course, she had a young woman holding the reins, so firmly that no one dared interfere. "I'm not ready, sir." "Where's the hesitation?" Bonita frowned. Wasn't "not ready" already clear enough? Why did he need her to explain further? "Nothing. I just feel content continuing as an employee like I am now. I'm not ready to take on greater responsibilities. But that also means higher pay, better benefits, and a higher position. Don't you want to grow? Tell me, don't you have ambition to soar higher? You're good at selling ideas. You have Kirapat. You have a woman who always supports you. From now on, you can only rise higher. Wouldn't it be better if I could help you directly?" What? Why was her boss suddenly saying things like this to her? And he even mentioned Kirapat in such an unpleasant tone. "With what you already have and my abilities, I believe we can go even further. Just Sell is a startup with the potential for remarkable growth. Both of us have a chance to reach the top faster than anyone else." "I don't understand." Bonita had met many people. She might not have been as sharp as her lover in assessing others or seeing through the tricks of entrepreneurs in the same industry. But from her own experiences before meeting Kirapat, she was capable enough to recognize the hungry, frightening look in the eyes of people like that. The place felt like a dark abyss, cold, windy, chilling to the bone. The authoritarian leadership, the assumption that women were weak and less valuable, the contemptuous gaze toward professions they deemed inferior, all of this, the young woman could clearly see in the man before her, forcing her to take a step back. On his desk, Bonita noticed a brown envelope inside a plastic bag from a well-known convenience store. Its size was exactly the same as the envelope she had seen on her own desk, but she still wasn't entirely sure. Suddenly, Wearable's words about Karakanok came to her mind. Why was she only thinking about it now? Before, she had been summoned in and out of the boss's office like part of a game. At the time, everyone said she had made mistakes at work and was sternly admonished by her superior, needing to fix everything until perfect. No one had noticed the unusual pattern, whether they agreed or not, but Bonita clearly felt that he was abusing his power and current position. Luring, selling dreams, and pressuring women considered weak and naive into his control, and now, she could very well be the next victim. "I'll support you. as long as we cooperate. Like Karakanok? Bonita tossed out the question like a stone thrown to test the waters, both a challenge and a direct attack, intentionally emphasizing the name of the woman who had just resigned. You used to call her in and out of the office for offers like that, didn't you? The young woman noticed the dissatisfaction clearly written on his face. He was the kind of man who couldn't hide his emotions as well as her lover, someone whose every glance, every breath, even the way their hands relaxed or clenched, she had to watch carefully to read. Compared to her Kirapat, Tathep was completely different. I need to know, sir, so I can make decisions accordingly. As you know, Karakanok resigned without any progress in her career. So, you mean you're interested? Bonita clenched her jaw, keeping her breathing as normal as possible, determined not to reveal any weakness or insecurity that could be exploited. Her steady breath made it impossible for him to read her emotions. If the offer is truly good, who would refuse? I also want to rise to the level of Kankirapat. Very well. Tathep muttered, his expression more relaxed. He stood up and walked quickly toward Bonita. If one looked closely, he was a few centimeters taller than her. The scent of his cologne wasn't overpowering, yet not too light either. His face was sharp, with tan skin and a high nose, not handsome enough to make heads turn. Most of his imposing presence came from his attire. Thinking about this, Bonita realized he was wearing a black shirt today. And he had always favored dark colors. She had seen it so often that it had almost become routine. Tathep always chose black. Another suspicion arose in her mind. Besides the disgusting things he had done to Karakanok, could he have been the one following and observing her previously? I'll make it clear during the seminar what we'll gain from this cooperation. Do I have to wait until then?
He smirked. Yes.
Trust me, babe. When that day comes, you definitely won't be able to refuse my offer.